Paul. I'm an addict. And I'm an engineer, and I'm anal, and this has been bugging the hell out of me the whole time, and I haven't done a damn thing about it. So I feel better now. Thanks for letting me come here. Thanks for letting me be a part of this. Thanks for putting this on so that addicts can come together and do what addicts didn't used to do. At least, I don't know. I've become a creature instead of a creature with a habit, I'm a creature of habit these days. I go to meetings. I hang around with addicts. I read the literature. I got to tell you, I'm an engineer, and I've got 3 years clean. That's not the point. The point is I started trying to get clean and started going to NA meetings, the other meetings, in 1986, New Year's Eve. If you do the math, it doesn't take an engineer to figure out that's not 3 years. But I remember when I walked into my first meeting after I got out of treatment, there was a guy there who shared a story that I'd like to share about a man that's sitting Sunday morning on the couch reading a newspaper. His little boy came running in and said, Dad, play football with me. He said, just 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, the boy's back. Dad, play football with me. He said, come back in 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, the boy's back. Dad, please play football with me. And the dad was just exasperated, and he had the paper folded out, and there was a big picture of the world, and he tore it up into 1,000 pieces and handed it to the kid and said, here, you go put the world back together, and then we'll play football. And 5 minutes later, the kid's back. And he said, Dad, please play football with me. He said, you already got the world back together? He said, yeah, Dad. He goes, well, how'd you do that so fast? He said, well, Dad, on the opposite side of the page was a picture of a man. And when I got the man right, the world was right. And I thought, that's pretty cool. And 45 days later, I relapsed. I didn't get it. It was cool, but I didn't get it. Fortunately, when I came into the rooms this time 3 years ago, I started to get it. I realized that, I had to work on this is an inside job. And I saw people in the rooms that were doing inside jobs apparently because they had 26 years and, hell, at that point, a few days was a pretty good feat, at least in my opinion. And I saw somebody who had 26 years, and I said, man, I'd hear him speak from time to time at meetings, and I never knew what was going to come out of his mouth. And I said, man, that he's a Nazi. And like I heard last night, I didn't know what a sponsor was when I first came here, and I thought, you got to have somebody sponsor you, like a country club. You have to be elected to come in, and I thought, this guy might be a sponsor. He might be sponsor material. And I thought, but not for me, because he's a Nazi. He's an NA Nazi, and I'm just not. I need a sponsor who's got a softer, gentler way. And so I picked a sponsor who traveled all the time, and I got my softer, gentler way, and thank God I stayed here anyway. And it took me a little while to figure out that I needed a sponsor that was a bit of a Nazi, and I sought out that Nazi, and I said, would you be my sponsor? I'm worried that you're going to be my Nazi sponsor, but I think I need that. And it turns out he's not so much of a Nazi after all. He's got a heart that's bigger than my chest. I still don't know what is going to come out of his mouth, but you know what? I learned yesterday. We sat up in his room and did some step work, and I realized it's an inside job. Damn, what a concept. It comes back around. It's an inside job. And I look forward to finishing today clean, and I think I can do that with your help. And I look forward to many years and many steps with somebody who's got a heart as big as I can see, and who I still don't know what the hell's going to come out of his mouth, but good luck. With that, I'll introduce Motorcycle Ed from Marietta.
My name's Ed, and I'm an addict. we'll have to take a moment to clear this away.
One thing I forgot.
Because that...
You got a cell phone, please turn it off.
Oh, let them talk. They can either talk on the phone or save their ass, one or two. Yeah, it's free choice, and a lot of people know that's one of my pet peeves and all that. Because when I got clean, I learned the value of one addict sharing with another and how we could together make a difference. If you're new here, less than 30 days or something, probably the only thing I wish that you would take out of here is you don't have to use again. The war can be over. The war's been over for me as far as chemical use, May the 2nd, 1977. It's been Paul, that rope right there, that just, it is a little aggravating. It's been funny how we look at the details of things once we get clean. It's been a long, hard struggle at times. At times it's been, quite easy to stay clean. I know that this morning's reading is one that I went 1 week one time without going to a meeting, and I was off in this obsession about building me a little carport, and had my brother helping me. I can get into some obsessions. But I was getting some free lumber off the job site. I hang glass in high-rise buildings for a trade, and they throw away a house a week on job sites. And I watched it for several years, and finally I asked my spirit if I could just work long enough to get me a truck, I could start doing something with all this throwing away. I'm a dyed-in-the-wool hippie recycler. And my spirit finally allowed me to work long enough to get me a pickup truck, and I started bringing the wood home, and the 6th night we was working on this, doing it at night because you can't do it during the day because you got to work. And I said, brother, if we work tomorrow night, we can get the roof on. He said, no, I think I'm not going to come over here tomorrow night. He says, I've got a wife at home that wants me to stay home at least one night this week. And says, you probably ought to go back to one of them meetings you go to. So I did, and I was the coffee maker at that time, and next day I was running late because I got some more wood out of the dumpster, and turned into the driveway there at the meeting and dumped the coffee pot. I'd made it at the house because I was running late and I had it sitting there, and boom, there's coffee all over the truck, Somebody says, where's the coffee? It's in the floorboard of the pickup outside if you want any. One of the things that I know I need to tell you is where I come from, and a couple of things that happened to get me here, and a little bit of why I stay here. I born in the South and tit-fed and learned a lot of stuff, segregation and civil rights and all that, and flags and this, that, and the other. And there was a lot of influences in my teenage years that helped me get in the fights. And it's been Very difficult to overcome some of those ingrained ideas. It's been very difficult to be open-minded about certain things, but I do the best I can. But one of the things I do get is opinionated from time to time, and I may mull over it for a while, but once I get settled, that's about it, folks. Don't try to move in me. I'm gonna just get hogged down on in there more and more. You try to, well, now, Ed, let's be open-minded. No, I don't think so. It's a non-negotiable idea. Yeah. You ever heard the word done? Yeah. And I've had some interesting conversations over the years, with things, and some of it's been heartache, just literally heartache about, what do you think we ought to do about all these newcomers coming around? I think we ought to start a fucking hug line. I myself, Well, I don't know, Ed. Some people are a little sensitive. Well, yeah, we was really sensitive at the crack house, wasn't we? Yeah. Word about our machoism. Yeah, right. Well, I don't allow men to touch me. Yeah, right. I know about that story too, Bubba. Yeah. Parties I used to go to, we'd just pile in and grab something and see if you liked it. Didn't like it, grab something else. Yeah. Hard thing to get across some of these guys, but I was talking to somebody before the meeting about learning how to love yourself. My way of learning how to love yourself is to start off at either the top or the bottom, looking in a full-length mirror. Look at each little part you got and decide if you want to keep it or not. And when you get to where you can stand in front of that mirror for 30 days in a row, naked, and not want to hurt yourself anymore, you might be getting close. And I had to do that. It took me 4.5 years to get to where I didn't want to mutilate parts of me. Because, when I was using this, some of it just wasn't functional anymore. Well, and that's one of the things that somehow some days, it seems like we overskip it. Particularly in how we treat each other. We love each other and da-da-da, and, stand and say we'll do anything to help you stay clean and all that, and then get an ASC meeting and call you a son of a bitch in front of everybody else and tell you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I'm going to do it this way. I don't care what the committee says, and, it's really loving each other, isn't it? And we step back and wonder why nobody else won't do service. Nobody wants to be the GSR. Group struggling. We can't get nobody to keep the money. Last one that kept it stole it. It's amazing, isn't it? Thing in my home area, they announced the ASC. All the circus coming to town. That's a real good way to look at a committee that you look to bring you meeting schedules, isn't it? It's a good way to look at a committee that tries to hold together enough that the H&I committee can have some literature to give to the newcomer that's sitting in the jail with nothing to look forward to it except another 6-7 years. Yeah, that's being real spiritually supportive, isn't it? Yeah. Convention committee that breaks it back to do what it can for the most economical way that it can, and it just get continually criticized. You know, about, well, you know what that committee done? That's the things that pain my heart these days. You know, 'cause I got a love affair that when I cleaned up, we didn't have 7 NA meetings a week in Metro Atlanta. They was 5, and 3 of them was in a nut house. That's where they got crazy people. That's where they got our people.
That's right.
They diagnose them all kind of ways, but they're our people. And you know, they wanted me to go to the nut house, and I told them I didn't have any money, and they wanted me to, you know, well, we'll get you an indigent bed, and that was too much like welfare to me, so I wasn't into that. My mama raised 4 of us without welfare, and I was just too proud to take an indigent bed. Figured if I got loaded on the street every damn day, I could get clean on the street every damn day. And that's what I did. You know, the key to the deal was I asked them if they was going to lock the doors at night over at that nut house. And they, well, sure, Ed, we got crazy people in there. We got to lock the doors. I said, you know, Cobb County put that locked door on me one time, and I don't think I want to volunteer for it again. I might be a little off the center here, but I ain't too far to the left, you know. And I was going to Alcoholics Anonymous and doing okay as far as Alcoholics Anonymous and their traditions and all that stuff was. You know, I was hanging in pretty good. You know, I didn't get loaded on that particular chemical, but 2 or 3 times from January to May. You know, picked up a couple of white chips there and got 12-stepped out of the meeting one night by this guy that brought me the message of Narcotics Anonymous. He came to that meeting, and I knew that he knew. As soon as he walked through the door, you know, I knew that he knew I was doing something. I got to get out of here. Yeah, no. I done the best I could, but I didn't make it. He caught me and brought me the message, and I started going to NA, and at 1.5 years clean, I was at that point in my recovery straddling the fence, you know, and you know, we all know what happened to fence straddlers. You get one way or the other, you know. And I decided I'd do a prayer. I was, you know, wanting to do the right thing, and the guy I had as a sponsor said, well, why don't you just pray about it? See what the Spirit wants you to do, you know. The ultimate deal is for you to follow your spirit. It's what the 3rd step's about, following your spirit, trusting something enough to turn your life over to the care of it. So I went through this. I said, well, what kind of prayer thing can I do? He said, well, just think about it. You know, now we have the imagination in our facilities, you know. And I didn't really come to understand that until I learned how to color, and maybe I can tell you about that in a little bit. But I come up with this big prayer thing. I got me a candle and put it out in the living room floor. I finally had me a little crib of my own, and didn't have to worry about moving furniture. I had a bean bag. Yeah, gotta have a bean bag, you know. And picked it up at the yard sale down the street there, you know. And moved that out of the way, and I got naked and spread eagle in front of that candle, and you know, just like, all right, Spirit, I'm a little confused about, well, why do you get naked to show you sincerity? Yeah. You ain't gonna have sex with your clothes on, are you? I never. So, I said, all right, I'm serious here. I'm serious. I got to. And I prayed and I said, you need to show me where to go. This here and here. I go to AA and feel guilty about not being in an NA meeting. I go to NA and feel embarrassed about being in NA. And I talk to somebody and and for the next 7 days, every time my phone rang, it was either the AA answering service calling saying, they got you on the list that you know how to talk to people with drug problems. I know a little bit. So we got this guy, or somebody that I met in NA that wanted me to come to one of the new meetings and lead discussion or chair the meeting or just come for support. Or they just needed to talk. So at the end of that 7 days, I went back to that altar, the little candle, and I was naked again, it worked the first time, and I had my answer. I knew that my program was going to be Narcotics Anonymous, and that was in the middle of 1978, and I ain't went nowhere else since. Yeah. And that's the... And there's been times, early on, there was a few times I regretted it, but not much. Not much, because I found the people that I know, the people that know me, the people that dress the way I dress, you talk the way I talk. You like to do the things I like to do. I met some women that getting naked and riding a motorcycle down the country road was a good idea. All right. I know a dirt road we can go do this on. I met some guys that helped me learn how I could heal that wounded little boy inside. Got me to where I can stand naked in front of anybody, and I don't care what you think about what you see, because I'm okay with it. If you got a problem with it, you might need to call your sponsor or write or pray or something, because I've done that. Now, one of the great myths is, that Narcotics Anonymous can't work, and, we don't have conventions where, recovery speakers are, and and that's not true. That's not true. It hadn't been true for a long, long time. If anybody tries to tell you that, I'll give you my phone number, and you tell them to call me. Call me collect. I don't care. Phone bill's always been paid. Since I cleaned up and got a phone, it's always been paid. No matter who I was talking to, no matter what part of the world I was talking to them in. Now, one of the things that I desperately needed in my life when I cleaned up was some kind of cause. I'd missed the 60s. It just, I found out about Woodstock in the 70s when I was in Alaska in the Army. Guys said, hey, did you ever go to Woodstock? We was doing, things, and this, what's Woodstock, And so, it's kind of, I was just late catching on, And I went to this guy's house one night, and he had this little bitty hunt and peck typewriter. It was about this, and, a little sling cartridge, and peck, 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 ting, and you sling it back, and peck, 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 peck. Now, what are you doing? Well, I'm writing on the book. I said, writing on a book? English was not my major in high school. My major in high school was to get out. That was one of my mama's demands for me to live at home, was to finish high school. And, eventually I did, but I said, what kind of book you writing? He says, book for addicts, or book by addicts for addicts. And I said, well, how in the world are you going to do that? He said, well, we've got a whole fellowship to help. And that's when I got involved in the LIT movement. And 5 years later, I was the RSR for that's old terminology for LIT language or service language. They call it RSM or some. I've not learned a new alphabet, by the way. I still refer to the old GSRs and ASCs and all that. But I was the RSR from the Georgia region to go out and carry the vote for the approval or disapproval of the basic text. And one of the hardest decisions that I ever made in my service work was walking the shoreline of the Pacific Ocean out there in California. The dilemma for me is I'd been involved in the LIT movement, been to several LIT conferences, and seen the book become developed, and knew a lot of the people that was involved with it, knew a lot of the people that the stories are in it, and seen the miracle of us getting a basic text come to be against the odds, against all the people that throwed roadblocks at us, all the people that continually throughout the whole process said that Dauphin's can't write and said you'll never make it, give up now, just keep sucking hind tit, the milk's okay, it won't sour, and I said, bullshit, I want my own cow. If I'm gonna ride the bull, I want it to be my bull. And the region that I was representing gave me orders to vote no on the book. And in lied the dilemma, my personal concerns and beliefs and hopes and dreams versus the concerns of my region and what they had told me as far as what vote to carry. And for 3 nights in a row, I walked the beaches trying to figure out what I was going to do. And as the Spirit, as I understand it, gave me an answer when the vote finally came up, the current World Lit Chair was up there, and he asked the conference if anybody would entertain a motion for approval or disapproval of the book. And he got a motion, and then another guy jumped up and asked if he could make an amendment to that motion. And the chairman agreed to let an amendment be made to the motion, and the amendment was that it did not have to pass by 2/3 majority. And that amendment I got to vote for. And I got my personal desires, hopes, and dreams satisfied. And then when the final vote came, I had to vote no for the book per what my region had told me to do. Now, the God in it all is the book passed by more than 2/3 majority at that conference. We didn't know if we was going to need the amendment, but we made it anyway, just in case. But a lot of people, wanted to disband me and all that, for that. But, I took the flack because that's what I wanted to do. And a lot of times, we get into that, and one of the things I want to talk about, one of the things we have trouble with, or one of the things I have trouble with, is the different stories that I want to tell you. It wouldn't be so bad if there hadn't been so many. But I need to tell you about my tree.
Yes, sir.
One of the controversies in Narcotics Anonymous is currently is the way we pray. You know, you get a lot of ups and downs and sideways and this, that, and the other. I ain't gonna tell you how to pray. It's trying to tell you how to bump uglies with somebody else, or who to do it with, and all that. That ain't gonna work. But one of the things that I believe that we do a lot in Narcotics Anonymous is skip the second step. We take the easier, softer way and rubber stamp it and call it the popular name of God, and that's a good name to have. One of the things that I was encouraged to do was find out what I could learn to trust and pray to, and call it what I could feel like I could be comfortable with. And mind you, the background I come from, so I started this little experiment about what I could pray to, and the candle was the first thing. And this guy asked me about what kind of conception did I have of a higher power, and I couldn't tell him anything. And he said, well, you need to get one, and there was this one gal at this meeting that I was going to that kept ribbing me about, you got a higher power yet? You got a higher power? And I kept telling her I was working on it, and finally one night in frustration, I pulled into the parking lot where I used to live, and there's this big oak tree out in front of the complex there that, I said, well, I think I'll choose that. I mean, it's a power greater than me, and it can do things that I can't do, and so I chose that, and I kept. Paul was talking about it being a creature of habit. I started this habit of every night when I come in from the meeting, I'd go by that tree, and if it'd been one of them days that I didn't particularly like, I'd tell this tree everything that I couldn't say in the meeting. If it'd been a good day, I'd kind of hug the tree and kind of feel the energy of it and make sure the bark was okay around the base and all this, and kept going. I finally run into that little gal again. How you doing with that higher power, Ed? I'm doing quite well with it, thank you. Well, good. Is it big? Oh, yeah, it's big. It's real big. Was it strong? Oh, yeah, it's strong. Everything she get, yeah. And one afternoon I come in from work, and I pulled in the parking deck, or the parking lot there, and didn't see the tree. And I said, well, that must be one of them days, I just turn around and go back out front and cut the radio off. I had rock and roll playing. I do like Southern rock and roll. And I've learned to listen to a lot of other stuff, but that's my favorite. But drove back down in there, and this time I seen the guys with the rakes, and it's cleaning up the debris, and there's a 4-inch stump where my tree used to be. Yeah, it's like, oh, this is not good. We're gonna have to call somebody. So I go downstairs and I call my sponsor. And his direction was go back outside, turn a complete circle, look at what you see, come back downstairs and call me. And I said, hey, Bubba, boy, wait a minute, Bubba. You don't understand. It's a 4-inch stump. They have cut it down. I don't care how many circles I turn, it won't be there. So he hangs up on me, and I go upstairs. or we hang up. I don't know if he, it was just one of them days. And I'll start off, yeah, there's the roof. Yeah, I remember when I was a plumber, there's the pipes coming out, and I was thinking about how hard it is to cut the shingles around the pipes. This is really good, And when I completed the circle, I was crying. Because what I had seen was 7 other little oak trees that I'd never paid attention to. And down inside, that little part that we keep so coveted, so hidden away, I felt a little twink and could not run any kind of scam, couldn't deny it. Something's going on here. And I knew that somehow it was going to be okay. It was all right that the tree was gone and all this. And that's kind of like the way that my love affair for Narcotics Anonymous has become. It's still difficult after all these years to try to show you or explain to you the love affair. It's what gets in the way is all the memories. Because you start thinking about the people that's touched your life, the ones that gave you the answer that you'd been looking for years and years. And sad that some of them are dead now. Yeah. And down home, there's a group of people that take care of the Georgia history, the archives for the Georgia history. And I know Kentucky's got one guy here that's got some history and all this. And one of the things that group of people has done for the last 5 years, 5, 6, maybe even longer than that, out of their own pocket have went around and started videoing the different members that's been here a while and getting their story on video and transferring it to CDs and stuff. And they've got a literature display. People's just gave them bits and pieces along the way. If you ever get to the Georgia regional convention, go to the history room, and because they could fill up this room. They got enough stuff to put in this room. It's just because they love NA. It's just because they want the message to be available to all peoples. I was talking to somebody before the meeting, before the book. If you didn't come to the meeting early and stay late, you didn't get it, because it was a verbal message. There was no book to give to somebody and say, here, go home and read this. This is the message of Narcotics Anonymous. If you didn't hang out with us, slim and none were your odds. Yeah. And I don't agree with all the literature that's on the tables these days. I just don't. And I got that right not to. But, it's out there, and, you get a choice in what you read and all that. I know that one thing that has helped me in my life is the step guide. I'm not real good at writing a whole lot, but I keep plugging away at it. And I hope one day we'll have a traditions guide. The Texas region has got something on the internet if you can download it. I don't have a computer big enough to download it. It's a good thick thing, 300 pages long. I'm on dial-up, so it'd probably take a year to download it. I'm still old school in a lot of ways. But, one of the things that is important to me is home group. I got a home group now. One of the things that happened to me, and I'll start closing down, one of the things that happened to Ed in his love affair is he got clean. He stayed clean a good long time. And now I'm a character. I know I'm a character. And got, a voice that carries a lot and carries very easily, rather. And my mama told me when I was a youngster, I wore the first bicycle I ever got, I wore the tires off of it because I was riding all the time, and she kind of knew I was a little gypsy in the making. And I am. I'm a road hog from way back. It's when I went to South Dakota a couple of years ago. Mary and I went to South Dakota, and we got in the truck early one morning and took off, and 16 hours later we stopped. And that's because she was mad at me for wanting to keep going. But I'm just that way. But if you haven't been to meetings outside your area or outside your region or outside the country, check them out. One of the touching memories that I have about going to meetings outside the area is back in '87, I got with a couple of people and we decided we'd go to the World Convention in London. And the guy said, Ed, if we're going to go to London, then we need to go early and stay late. It's just a 4-day convention. We can do a week or something. He said, no, we need to go early and stay late. Well, how early are you talking about? And so I went on a 3-week trip, went early and stayed late, and flew into Belgium and got on the train, rode down to Frankfurt, and got into Frankfurt late Friday night. And this guy had done some traveling before, and we got off the train and walked a couple of blocks and round the back, down the alley and up the steps, and found a meeting. And they wasn't speaking English. What they were speaking was empathy. And that empathy is what I understood in that meeting. And when I realized that there was some non-German speaking people there, they started translating for us. But a lot of it, they didn't have to translate. I need to tell you about 1991. One of the things that happened to me is after I got clean is I got popular. And some of it was because I wouldn't stay at home, and I'd go out and I'd go to all these conventions and da-da-da, and a lot of times they'd want me to speak, and I've been on the circuit, and you want to be on the circuit, good, go for it. There's a price to pay for being famous and being on the speaker circuit in Narcotics Anonymous. And that price for me is I lost the ability to go to my home group and be the addict seeking recovery. And I almost got loaded behind that. She was the woman of my dreams. I mean, you know, criteria, I mean, she foot the bill, baby. I've been waiting a long time on her. And we got together and it didn't work. There was some differences that I hadn't counted on. There was one inability of mine, I couldn't talk to her. Couldn't get past a certain point. I still had that wounded part in me that, no, you cannot have the Band-Aid. No, you're not going to pull it off. No, I'm not going to do that. And I had done that with every woman that I'd been with since I was 13 years old. And so she had enough sense to leave. And God bless her for leaving, because it wouldn't have been pretty. And in the aftermath, you know, what in the world am I going to do now? Because they wasn't much needing me keep going. I mean, you know, I had, you know, the fame, I had the motorcycle, I had the job, I had the house, had this, you know, and she left. And couldn't go to my home group and tell them. Couldn't do it. Didn't have the ability. And a couple of key people, some of those memories again. Helped me work some steps and helped me get through that wall. And I'm not saying that's the only way. I mean, God help us all. I mean, there's plenty of ways to get through the wall, folks, you know, but my belligerence and belief and all that, I chose to go through Narcotics Anonymous to do it. And a lot of times the steps in Narcotics Anonymous seem to be working a little bit slower than other methods, but it's a method that works for me. And Bill Brooks is the one that helped me work through that. He died 3.5 years ago of cancer. And, but anyway, I was able to work some steps, and I, you know, in doing all that, you know, when you get tired of doing the same thing over and over again, making the same mistake, you decide at some point to do something different. Well, my decision was to do something different, and I, except for a fling with this one little gal, from 91 to 96, I didn't go with anybody. And it got to where I liked it pretty well. You know, didn't think I ever would, but I did, and was doing real good. You know, that's what that time period is when the little child in me learned to color. That's a whole nother story in itself. I don't have time to tell you about that one, but I got some healing is the end result. I learned how to heal up, learned how not to be so scared. Then I met Mary. I've been single 30 years. I had a little divorce, marriage and a divorce back when I was 19, you know, one of them, she got pregnant, let's get married, blah, 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 and poof. And I knew Mary was different. And the most important thing, or one of the other factors, is Gina was talking about it last night. I knew I was carrying something different to a relationship this time. And not to get in no great big hurry. I dated her 4 years before I married her. You know. And we just celebrated 2 years being married, and I heard for years and years guys say, I don't know what I'd do without her, you know. Well, I can tell you, I don't know what I'd do without her. I mean, you know, I'm just connected, you know. We have our differences at times. But I think the honeymoon's over. There ain't nothing flying around the kitchen anymore, and the doors ain't slamming. And I ain't left. And she ain't left. We do fairly well. She go, and we don't say things to each other, like, well, I think you ought to call your sponsor about that. That is a death sentence from hell if you say that to your mate. Yeah. I've seen it. I've watched it. People, get together and they try to work each other's program and tell them what to do. The character that I seen in Mary the first night I met her, I knew she wasn't going to be a woman to tell what to do. You just know those things down deep inside somehow. You get tired of getting beat up with the bat. but people ask me today, Wed, what's your concern? Why do you keep going to those meetings and da-da-da? You still go to meetings regularly. You still work the steps. You still call your sponsor. You still chair meetings. You still the discussion leader. You still make coffee. You still set the chairs up. You take them down. You hang out with people after the meeting and talk. Well, what's the alternative, folks? I don't know where you come from. Now, true to give credit where credit is due, they've invented shit since I cleaned up.
That's right.
But I've had sex in just about every position you can have sex. It's still having sex, folks. And dope is dope is dope is dope. Yeah. And what are you going to offer me in place of my abilities to look each and every one of you in the eye and tell you it's okay? You don't have to fight anymore. It's okay. We know how you feel. It's going to be okay. May not be perfect, but it's going to be okay. Time and time again I hear, if I'd have gotten what I wanted, I'd be in big trouble. I got what I needed. When 91 started, it was the worst thing in the world that had ever happened to me. I didn't think 82 could get anything worse than what happened in 82. That's a whole nother story by itself, But 91 got worse, emotionally and spiritually. That's the pain. Physically, one bullet can cure that. But what do we do about the emotional and spiritual pain? How do you heal that? Stay 5 minutes, get one more hug. Chair that one more meeting. Pick up that phone one more time at 11:30 at night. Whether it's you calling somebody or somebody calling you. It's an equal opportunity program. Yeah. But that's about it, looks like. I love y'all. Thank you for letting me share.